Hello, my name is Kristin Devine. Thank you for joining me for Sunset Salutations. I'm enjoying the warmth here on the balcony this evening. There's quite a bit of humidity to note, and the sun is beautiful. I wanted to share a passage with you to start today about trust. From wherever you go, there you are. Trust. Trust is a feeling of confidence or conviction that things can unfold within a dependable framework that embodies order and integrity. We may not always understand what is happening to us or to another, or what is occurring in a particular situation. But if we trust ourselves or another, or we place our trust in a process or an ideal, we can find a powerful stabilizing element, embracing security, balance, and openness within the trusting, which in some way, if not based on naivety, intuitively guides us and protects us from harm or self-destruction. The feeling state of trust is important to cultivate in mindfulness practice. For if we do not trust in our ability to observe, to be open and attentive, to reflect upon experience, to grow and learn from observing and attending to knowing something deeply, we will hardly persevere in cultivating any of these abilities, and so they will only wither or lie dormant. Part of mindfulness practice is to cultivate a trusting heart. Let's begin by looking deeply into what we can trust in ourselves. If we do not immediately know what there is to trust in ourselves, maybe we need to look a little deeper, to dwell a little longer with ourselves in stillness and in simply being. If we are unaware of what we are doing a good deal of the time, and we don't particularly like the way things turn out in our lives, perhaps it's time to pay closer attention, to be more in touch, to observe the choices we make and their consequences down the road. Perhaps we could experiment with trusting the present moment, accepting whatever we feel or think or see in this moment, because this is what is present now. If we can take a stand here and let go in the full texture of now, we may find that this very moment is worthy of our trust. From such experiments conducted over and over again may come a new sense that somewhere deep within us resides a profoundly healthy and trustworthy core, and that our intuitions, as deep resonances of the actuality of the present moment, are worthy of our trust. There's a beautiful poem that coordinates with that passage that I'd love to share with you. Be strong then, and enter into your own body. There you have a solid place for your feet. Think about it carefully. Don't go off somewhere else. Kabir says this: just throw away all thoughts of imaginary things and stand firm in that which you are. Kabir. What I love from those passages is focusing with intention on this second, rather than worrying about what comes next or marinating on the pain of the past. To feel trust that this moment now can be fully realized with presence. I love that. As we get ready to meditate, I want to find an ease about our alignment. So we're going to come to all fours here. Previously, I have talked about the 90-degree angles. Today, we're going to venture from that a bit. I'm going to reach my hands further towards the top of my mat You don't need a mat for meditation, so maybe you're looking at some carpet bristles, or maybe you're doing it on your bed. Whatever works for you. And I'm going to let my knees go a bit further back towards the other edge of my mat. From here, I'm going to lift all the way up to the sky and reach towards my belly button. And reaching all the way up towards the sky, I'm going to reach my hips towards the mat. Beautiful here. Sending energy in through my fingertips. Sort of modified cobra. And bringing my hips all the way to the right. And leaning back. And coming all the way to the left. And around. We're basically just making a huge hip circle. We're going to do that 3 more times. I love the way this finds space in my vertebra. I just feel a stretch everywhere that I didn't know I needed, but I'm so happy to find it. And leaning all the way back, elongating the spine. Last one. And finding myself at that sort of extended center here. Pushing towards the left, reversing my circle. Finding breath. If you feel a sticky spot, like for me right here, there's a little bit of resistance in that hip. I'm just going to work through it. If there's ease all the way through your circle, just find continuous motion. Feeling yourself working through the breath here. What a lovely feeling of space and stretch. Really making room within your spine. Particularly for me in my lower back, I feel that so nice. And looking up to the sky one last time. Great. And from here, I'm going to reverse that curvature, bringing my lower spine towards the mat. Again, great. Now, from here, I'm going to push all the way back. And I'm going to place my right elbow on the mat. My hands are working towards my shoulder. My left arm with the tented hand is going to go to the outside of my mat here. I'm going to press my hip all the way towards the right, crossing my left foot, the opposite foot of my elbow, over in the back. And I'm going to lean, leveraging with my left tented hand here. Really getting a nice stretch. I want to be pushing my hips backward, backward, backward. Breathing and expanding into that rib cage. I feel a lovely expanse underneath my right armpit as well. Finding a few breaths here. Really extending. And coming up just a touch to find the stretch. Maybe you can go a bit deeper. Love this. And coming up, uncrossing that back leg and finding yourself deep into child's pose here. We've been exploring with tented fingers. That really helps you to roll your shoulders down your back. Find wide fingertips here and think about pushing and pressing away from the mat here. Find a levity throughout your center. We're not resting on the mat so much as we are stretching our spine like a cat. Feeling a bit of wideness in the hip. And coming up and forward. Ooh, fabulous. And then breathing up and towards the sky here. This time as I push back, I'm going to put my left elbow on the mat. Good. I'm reaching my hand towards my shoulder. I'm pushing my hips back. I'm crossing my right foot over my other heel, crossing there, tenting my hands. Ooh, I feel it stronger on this side for sure. Maybe you have a good side and a bad side. And pushing back into that left hip. What a blessing to be able to enjoy the sunset as I were stretching. I love the reflection of the sun on the waves. Beautiful combination of blues and oranges. And coming up, just to reset, recalibrate, see if we can find ourselves deeper into the stretch. This is really one of my favorite warm-ups. Does such a fabulous job of creating space and releasing tension, particularly in the spots between the rib cage and your spine, which is fabulous when you want to have a nice tall spine. For meditation, I'm uncrossing my legs here. I'm coming up just a touch so that I can widen my knees out to really enjoy full hip opening in my child's pose. I want to make sure that I rotate my shoulders all the way back and down and have a feeling of sort of pushing away with my hands, pushing down and away, nice weighted feeling. This is an engaged child's pose. It's not simply resting. We're stretching and finding space. Just a few more seconds here. And coming up. Beautiful. I feel a desire to just work my rib cage out a touch here. Gonna pull my shoulders back. I've created so much space. I can feel it all through my arms and my shoulders. Awesome. I'm gonna grab my comfy cushion here, and as we read in previous sections, intentionally take my seat for our meditation here. When you've found a posture of dignity, allow your eyes to close and engage with an inner focus. Find your mind's eye resting upon your breath. Allow your concentration to notice only your inhalation and exhalation. Your pelvis and seat are deeply rooted into the floor. Each vertebra is resting on a pillow of air. Tall and long spine. Feeling of ease, almost of weightlessness. Allow yourself to notice only the breath. Perhaps trying counting today, breathing in on 1, breathing out on 2. When you reach 10, return to 1. So after 5 full rounds of breath, restart your counting. There is no goal. There is no end number. I want to share some thoughts with you. From wherever you go, there you are, as you're meditating. No right way. Backpacking with my family in wilderness, I am recurrently struck by the question of footing. With each step, the foot has to come down somewhere. Climbing or descending over boulder fields, steep inclines, on and off trails, our feet make split-second decisions for us about where and how to come down, what angle, how much pressure, heel or toe, rotated or straight. The kids don't ever ask, "Daddy, where do I put my feet? Should I step on this rock or that one?" They just do it. And I've noticed that they find a way. They choose where to put their feet at each step. And it's not simply where I put mine. What this says to me is that our feet find their own way. Watching my own, I am amazed at how many different places and ways I might put my foot down with each step. And how, out of this unfolding momentary potential, the foot ultimately commits to one way, execute with full weight on it, or less if it's a hazardous situation, and then let's go as the next foot makes its choice and I move forward. All this occurs virtually without thinking, except at the occasional tricky spots where thought and experience do come into play and I might have to give my youngest child, Serena, a hand. But that is the exception, not the rule. Ordinarily, we are not looking at our feet and thinking about each step. We are looking out, ahead on the trail, and our brain, taking it all in, makes split-second decisions for us that put the foot down in a way that conforms to the needs of the terrain underfoot in that moment. This doesn't mean that there is no wrong way to step. You do have to be careful and cinch your footing. It's just that the eyes and the brain are very good at rapid assessment of terrain and giving detailed directions to torso, limbs, and feet, so that the whole process of taking a step on rough ground is one of exquisite balance and motion, even with the complications of boots and heavy packs. There is built-in mindfulness here. Rough terrain brings it out in us, and if we do a trail 10 times, we'll each solve the problem of each footstep differently each time. Covering ground on foot always unfolds out of the uniqueness of the present moment. It's no different in meditation. There is really and truly no one right way to practice. Although there are pitfalls along this path too, and they have to be looked out for, it is best to encounter each moment with freshness, its rich potential held in awareness. We look deeply into it, and then we let go into the next moment, not holding to the last one. Each moment then can be fresh, each breath a new beginning, a new letting go, a new letting be. Just as with our stepping over rocky terrain, there is no supposed to here. True, there is much to be seen and understood along this path, but it can't be forced. any more than you can force someone to appreciate the golden light of the low sun shining over fields of wheat, or the moonrise in the mountains. Best not to speak at all in moments such as these. All you can do is be present with the enormity of it yourself, and hope others see in it the silence of the moment. Sunsets and moonrises speak for themselves, in their own languages, on their own canvases. Silence at times leaves space for the untamed to speak. In the same way, in the meditation practice, it is best to hold to and honor one's own direct experience, and not worry too much about whether this is what you are supposed to feel or see or think about. Why not trust your experience in this moment, just as you would trust your foot to find a way to keep you balanced as you move over rocks? If you practice this kind of trust in the face of insecurity, and the strong habit of wanting some authority to anoint your experience, you will find that something of a deepening nature does happen along the path. Our feet and our breath both teach us to watch our step, to proceed mindfully, to truly be at home in every moment, wherever our feet carry us, to appreciate where we are. What greater gift could be bestowed upon us? I'm going to offer you some quiet here to continue your focus on the breath, and remind you to note and observe any time that your mind wanders, as it is inevitable, without a feeling of judgment. Find yourself in the now and accept. Allow yourself to release focus on the breath. Offer the mind freedom to wander, just for a few moments. Become reacquainted with the room. Allow your awareness to find itself fully in the body and mind simultaneously. Maybe wiggle your toes, your fingers, and on your own time, allow your eyes to open. I hope you will find a position of rest here as I share with you a few closing thoughts. As the beautiful sun sets. This is another passage from Wherever You Go, There You Are. Your own authority. When I started work at the medical center, I was given 3 long white coats, which have been neatly embroidered on the pocket. They have hung on the back of my door now for 15 years unused. To me, these white medical coats are a symbol of exactly what I don't need in my job. I suppose they are a good thing for physicians, enhancing as they do the aura of authority, and thus the positive placebo effect with their patients. The aura is augmented further if there is a stethoscope hanging out of the pocket at just the right angle. But working in the stress reduction clinic, the white coat would be a true impediment. I have to work overtime as it is to reflect back all the projections I get from people that I am Mr. Relaxation or Dr. Have It All Together or Mr. Wisdom and Compassion Incarnate. The whole point of mindfulness-based stress reduction, and for that matter, health promotion in its largest sense, is to challenge and encourage people to become their own authorities, to take more responsibility for their own lives, their own bodies, their own health. I like to emphasize that each person is already the world authority on him or herself, or at least that they could be if they started paying attention to things mindfully. A great deal of the information each of us needs to learn more about is ourselves and our health. Information we desperately need in order to grow and to heal and to make effective life choices. Already right at our fingertips, at the tips of, or rather, right beneath our noses. What is required to participate more fully in our own health and well-being is simply to listen more carefully and to trust what we hear, to trust the messages from our own life, from our own body and mind and feelings. This sense of participation and trust is all too frequently missing. Developing such an attitude means authoring one's own life, and therefore assuming some measure of authority oneself. It requires believing in oneself. Deep down, sadly a lot of us don't. Mindful inquiry can heal low self-esteem for the simple reason that a low self-estimation is really a wrong calculation, a misperception of reality. You can see this very clearly when you start to observe your own body, or even just your breathing in meditation. You quickly come to see that even your own body is miraculous. It performs amazing feats by the moment with no conscious effort. Our esteem problems stem in large part from our thinking, colored by past experiences. We see only our shortcomings and blow them out of all proportion. At the same time, we take all our good qualities for granted, or fail to acknowledge them at all. Perhaps we get stuck in the often deep and still bleeding wounds of childhood, and forget or never discover that we have golden qualities too. The wounds are important, but so are our inner goodness, our caring, our kindness towards others. The wisdom of the body, our capacity to think, to know what's what. And we do know what's what, much more than we allow. Yet instead of seeing in a balanced way, we frequently persist in the habit of projecting onto others that they are okay, and we are not. I balk when people project onto me in this way. I try to reflect it back to them as commonsensically as I can, in the hope that they will come to see what they are doing and understand that their positive energy for me is really theirs. The positivity is their own. It is their energy, and they need to keep it and use it and appreciate its source. Why should they give away their power? I have enough problems of my own. Here's a brief poem. People measure their esteem of each other by what each has, and not by what each is. Nothing can bring you peace but yourself. Emerson. Thank you so much for joining me for Sunset Salutations. Our sun is tucking now under a brief fog, but it has been lovely on its way to the ocean for sure. If you have a new sense of self after this time we've spent together, something that you'd love to share with someone else, try sharing a photo, maybe of your meditation spot, to hashtag Lville Dance Together. We're so lucky to have one another in this time. I feel grateful for you and for the energy you share with me. I hope you have a great rest of your day or evening. This has been Sunset Salutations with Kristin Devine.